When I started investing 33 and a half years ago, it was mid-80s. It was actually January 1986, the year of the first big tax reform act. And I bought it with my college roommate, his name was Socrates, and we used that, you don't have to have cash, you don't have to have credit, all that kind of stuff to buy properties, which is what a lot of people did because interest rates were still very high, and it was very appropriate for the moment. What I want to show you though is what I discovered over the years by working with other investors that actually were buying better properties, making more money, and I thought I'm going to follow what they're doing. Remember, success leaves clues. So I'm going to show you what I learned from these guys, okay? So in the beginning, I was doing what's called flatlining, right? Buying the same kind of properties over and over again, using all those late night guru techniques. You know what I'm talking about. Remember the late night gurus? No money down, owner financing. Again, I'm not knocking that stuff. It's just there's a time and place for everything. And it's that those strategies are not appropriate for every time and every place. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So I used to buy these properties using no money down, owner financing, buying on terms, all that kind of stuff. And let me tell you guys, it would take you forever to put up enough substantial wealth and income to retire that way. Think about the kind of properties you get. If I offer you, I want to buy your property, I don't want to put any money down, and I want you to finance me. How do you like that deal? Okay, well most people don't. So it did work though. In 17 years, I acquired a whopping 42 units, okay? But here's what I figured out. I got my broker's license because I wanted to make my life easier when it came to investing, and here's what I discovered. A lot of investors are doing this like I was doing, but some investors actually were growing vertically, okay? We call this flatlining, growing horizontally. They're adding volume to your life but never gaining much ground, okay? These other investors are doing something like this, okay? They actually were growing vertically, okay? And here's what they were doing. Just a couple of key points here. Number one is they didn't buy this cheap, crappy stuff down here. They bought better properties, all brick, Traco windows, nice landscaping, off-street parking, strategically placed around hospital systems, university systems, high-tech office parks, things like that, okay? But here's the second thing, and this is probably the biggest discovery I made in my own investing, which is this. They didn't keep buying the same kind of properties. Like if you and I bought a duplex and it worked, we'd want to just keep buying duplexes because it's working. Don't change it. Keep doing what's working. Makes sense. It's what our brains are telling us to do. These guys didn't do that. They forced themselves, they disciplined themselves to only buy the next bigger property in terms of numbers of units per purchase, more doors per purchase. This could be a 16-unit building, but it could also be 16 single-family homes bought together. If you follow what I'm saying, could be 4 fourplexes, 2 rows of 8 townhomes, right? Mixed-use property. But the point is they forced themselves to keep progressively buying bigger properties. It's not anything I ever read in any book until I wrote it myself, and I verified this. I've met people. Robert Kiyosaki came to our mastermind group a couple years ago. We actually talked about this. Okay, I swapped emails with Grant Cardone, and he said, "Yeah, you never buy this unless it positions you to later on buy that." Okay, so in any case, my personal growth was not a straight line in my investing. It was more like a curve. It started off slow and picked up steam over time, okay? Now, part of the reason is it took me a while to adapt this philosophy, okay? And here's why. Just being completely candid with you, my cap rate on these properties down here was actually higher than my cap rate on these properties up here in the beginning. These cap rates never change. These cap rates during the life of ownership go up more over time because as you raise rents on these bigger properties, the bigger properties you evaluated with something called income approach to valuation. It's based on income, okay? So here's the thing, ask yourself this. Which of these 2 properties gets better rent increases over time? Well, yeah, these, that's right. So now something else here is this. I should probably just tell you this too. In the beginning, I'm Mr. Conservative, okay? I don't like debt, okay? I use debt constructively to buy real estate, of course. But I found out when I did this, when I switched over, I was starting to put money into it. So I had higher equity position to begin with, which means my cash flow was bigger. I started paying off some of the older stuff, selling this stuff down here. Used the capital to keep paying all, I'd saved every dime that I made for my brokerage, saved every dime I made from all my rents, kept buying the next bigger property, kept paying down the old stuff over time, all right? So Dave Ramsey calls this a snowball rolling uphill, right? And over time, as you might imagine, I had substantial equity and cash flow. It just, the two go hand in hand, okay? So I found a commercial lender. This is what's kind of different. A lot of people have said, well, you can't get a second loan from a commercial lender. I'm like, well, I did it, okay? You just have to keep asking. I did get a lot of no's. I got a lot of no's, in fact. But I found a lender who gave me what's called a blanket mortgage across my properties, okay? And it was in the form of an LLC. It was, a line of credit, LOC. It was a commercial line of credit that blanketed the portfolio I had, which wasn't that big at the time. And they only let me do a 50% loan to value because that meant low risk to them, okay? So I took that loan, the proceeds from the line of credit, bought the next bigger property, fixed it up, raised all the rents, made it more valuable, went out later on and then get a brand new first mortgage on that. Remember, it didn't have a mortgage up to this point, right? The debt was based on this over here. So I took those proceeds from that brand new first mortgage, paid back the line of credit. And what do you think that lender did for me on that line of credit when I just paid it off and added another income producing asset to my portfolio? That's right, he raised it, okay? Now just to give an idea of what this translates to in numbers, it took me about 3 years to switch over, okay? But when I did, in less than 5 years, I added another 208 units because I kept getting bigger and bigger properties, okay? That's really how it works, guys. And what I want to show you is you can do this too. So I commend you for making this decision to do this and do the rental profits without the paying home study course. And you'll see how we actually are able to accomplish this, and you can too. So welcome aboard. I look forward to working with you. God bless you and your family. I'll see you on the path to prosperity.